It seems to me like so many cool miniatures brands are extending into the world of 3D printing lately. And at the forefront of that, one of the companies I think of first is definitely Night Models. In the past, we covered their DC miniatures game venture into 3D printing, but now that they've taken Game of Thrones that way, some of the most stunning portrait miniatures ever made are about to come rolling off of your 3D printer. Now, when I say portrait miniatures, what I mean are stunning minis like these that do just an amazing job of capturing the likeness of a very familiar face. When the sculpt and the person it represents are immediately recognizable like this, there's a strange beauty to the miniature that ignores the aesthetics themselves and comes purely from just that amazing mimicry of reality. And well, as you can see, having them as printed STLs does absolutely nothing to diminish this because, well, I mean, you can see here my lowly Saturn III, not considered a cutting edge printer by today's standards at all, can still put out some insane quality renditions of these incredible sculpts. However, there was one in particular that I was very keen to get some paint on. My favourite character from the Game of Thrones series, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a few of yours' favourite too, Tyrion Lannister. Not only was I just absolutely stunned by the likeness to Peter Dinklage, which was kind of the inspiration for this video, but also just the amazing level of detail crammed into such a small miniature. I mean, this guy is tiny. So, with that in mind, I decided to do this. This is the exact same file, printed at the exact same settings, just scaled up to 250% to bring it closer to a kind of 90mm display scale. And just look at that face. I honestly think this might be one of the best portraits I've ever seen in miniature form. So yeah, I chose this to paint up as a competition piece. The big one, I mean. And speaking of competitions, this video is sponsored by My Mini Factory. So of course, they are hosting a painting competition to celebrate the crowdfunder for these Game of Thrones minis, and they want me to tell you all about it. Now, there's a link below where you can get all the nitty-gritty details, so we don't need to go over that, but the main points are, well, first of all, you'll get the Tyrion STL for free, and if you don't have a 3D printer, then you can order one for free from Only Games, and you just pay shipping. There's a code at the link for you to do that, so do that if that's what you want to do. Once you have that miniature, you have until March 27th of 2025 to paint and submit it. Now, I know that's kind of short notice, but, well, this video came up at the same time as the Trench Crusade one, so it was a little bit of a scramble to get them both done, and I'm really sorry, but you've still got over a month, you'll be fine. The prizes are, as always, incredible. Paints, 3D printers, it's over £3 worth of prizes. So yeah, check that link below if you fancy giving it a go. And regardless of whether you do or not, watch on because I'm going to show you some really cool stuff that relates to painting miniatures really nicely. At the sort of competition standard that I'm after, I'm not going to have time to paint this miniature for the My Mini Factory competition, and I wouldn't be allowed to enter anyway. But I'm entering it in the competition at ChillCon. Also, whilst I mention ChillCon, it would be rude not to mention, we are hosting our Level Up Your Miniatures class at ChillCon this year, March 23rd, I want to say. And there are a few tickets left, not a ton, a few. They're selling pretty quickly. So if you fancy coming along, then yeah, I'll drop a link to that below as well, and we can paint together and hang out, and that'll be fun. So yeah, because there's no way I'm gonna get this done today or anytime soon, I thought it might be wise instead to just focus on the face and show you some tips. Obviously, getting a good base coat is the easy part, but from there, I know a lot of you have a hard time with faces. So I want to show you some things that I've picked up over the years from various different painters whom I would consider masters compared to me. And hopefully I can pass on some tips that will help you get a really nice face on this really nice face. So first thing I want to talk about is the highlight structure. A good face needs to be well lit, and the easiest way I found to get something that always looks good is to kind of treat the face like a cylinder. You've probably heard people talk about basic volumes in mini painting before, so I'll be quick. But essentially, if you look at a cylinder, you see this concentration of light toward the side facing the light source, which then tapers away to darker and darker around the sides. And you can treat the face pretty much exactly like this by just focusing your highlights to the cheeks, the forehead, the chin, the upper lip, the nose, but tapering them away as you move around the model, so the very front and centre of the face is the brightest part. And of course, if you're going to paint Tyrion, you're probably going to want to know how to do his 5 o'clock shadow. And the first key to this is just mixing a really weak, bluey, grey, dark glaze. You'll want to make sure that that glaze is barely dampening your brush too. It should look almost dry, just really barely wet. Then we're just going to use some nice, fast, confident strokes to push that glaze downward from his cheeks toward the underside of his chin, where we can hide all of our sins in the shadows. Once you build a bunch of layers of this up, then you just need to blend out the transition by glazing some skin tones over it. And if you're feeling super saucy, you can treat yourself by using some of your lighter skin tones from your work up earlier to just glaze some highlights over the stubble to add some shine to areas where you think it might need it. One last thing too, Tyrion often has very tired looking eyes in the show, and that's another thing that we can replicate really easily, first of all with that same blue-grey glaze. And then if we just chase it with a sort of purpley magenta, then once the eyes are painted in, they're going to look nice and tired. Put all of that together with a nicely finished bit of hair and hopefully some good clean painted eyes, and you'll be quids in for impressing those judges. Now, like I said, for the standard I want to finish this to, there's no way I was getting it done in time for this video. I'm going to struggle to get it done in time for ChillCon, so this is all I can really show you for now. But I think with a sculpt like this, where so much love has gone into that likeness, one of the best ways to make it sing is just to do a really good job on the face. So I really hope that these tips will inspire you to have a crack at this competition, or, at least if you were already planning to enter before you saw this, give you a bit of a leg up and help you out. Again, I know it's a little bit last minute, but you do still have over a month, and if you're painting the small scale version and not being an idiot like me, you should realistically be able to do something pretty cool, right? And the prizes are definitely worth it, so I really do encourage you to give this one a go. As for the rest of the My Mini Factory Frontier, well, you saw at the start just how many amazing characters from the series are represented, and if you want to grab them early while the Frontier's still running for the bargain price of $115, that is actually really cheap, then you have until the 27th of February to do so. That is for the whole set, plus the Undead Dragon, so yeah, it's a lot of models for a pretty good price. By the time this goes up on YouTube, I reckon that's going to give you about 2 weeks to make a decision, so, not too much pressure, but after that, the STLs will still go on general sale. They'll just be a little bit more expensive, and they'll remain available on My Mini Factory if you want them, so, Huge thanks to My Mini Factory for sponsoring this video, and of course to Night Models for continuing to make amazing, inspiring miniatures that never fail to get me excited to paint. If you enjoyed this one and you want to stick around for more, then, well, hit the subscribe button. Give the video a like if you liked it, and why don't you drop me a comment below and let me know which of the Game of Thrones sculpts is your favourite. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.